Welcome back to episode 17 of Twins That Unzipped. In this week's episode, we discuss why today I'm an actual idiot. Also discussing period woes.
We discuss our own personal boundaries that we set for ourselves and for our kids. And we also then end things with your listener questions.
Thank you as always for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and we will see you next week.
Enjoy the show.
So I'm starting the podcast today with a typical stupid Sarah story.
Tell us all.
And I haven't done this in years, have I?
I was actually trying to think the last time. I feel like we went through a phase of doing this quite a lot.
Literally. So this morning, I closed the door behind me and my keys were inside. And the instant it closes, you knew. And I was like, what am I going to do?
What I want to ask you is because obviously we've just rocked up to the studio, so I don't know the full story. Had you dropped the kids?
So Craig dropped the kids early this morning and he was already on his merry way to work.
Okay.
I was actually running 5 minutes late anyway. Closed the door. So I knew that getting Craig home would be at least a 35-minute. My in-laws are away. They live down the road. So I thought I have to message my dog walker. So I messaged on the group, any chance you're nearby about to pick up Maggie? She was 10 minutes away.
Stunning
Is
behaviour.
that because what would I have done? And I was thinking, I'm going to be late for the podcast. Oh my God. But I tried to stay calm and I had my coffee.
Do you know what though? I mean, I know because I guess later. I was thinking you could have just left.
But I didn't have my car key. I didn't have any keys. I just had myself.
So you keep your car keys and your house keys together.
As one.
So maybe you need to start
because there's two things to
them.
lose. Oh no, then I wouldn't. Could you imagine me rooting around? I'd be in my bag for 5 years.
This is always my panic as well. But someone told me you always have to keep them separate.
That.
Also, God forbid something happens where someone wants your car keys. At least they then don't have your house keys.
This is
as well.
true. Well, anyway, I actually remained super calm.
You actually did. I was very proud of you.
I was nervous about my tardiness, but actually I made it in good time.
Beautiful.
And I just drank my coffee outside in the morning.
I was actually, when you messaged me, I was thinking the last time this happened to me, Ava was probably, how old would she be? And she was just eating on her own, so maybe 9 months. Yeah. And I went to water the flowers outside, left the door thinking, oh, it's not going to close, but my back door was open. No. So you know that cross breeze.
She was inside.
She was inside, thankfully in her high chair, watching whatever she was watching, having her lunch, and the door closed. And that instant,
I don't think I knew this story.
Oh my, what the hell am I going to do? My baby is inside. I am outside. So eating. So I remember opening up the letterbox and seeing her just sitting there, not knowing what was going on. And I thought, great, she's not stressed. She's calm. And I knocked. Luckily, my neighbour was in.
They've got your keys. See, that's
no, they don't have my keys. Which now, in hindsight, if you trust your neighbours, definitely do this. I was so frantic. I was like, Ava's inside. I've locked the door. I need to get in. So bless her. She climbed over her garden.
Oh, shut up.
Went through to the garden. Luckily, the back door was open. And then she just climbed in and she was like, hi, Ava. I watched the whole thing through the letterbox. And Ava, thankfully, had no idea what was going on. It probably only lasted about 6 minutes. Yeah. But that 6 minutes felt like the longest ever. That panic of closing the door and knowing your keys are inside.
And there's a child inside.
So to be fair, I now always keep my house keys in one place in the house.
And so do I, and
I tell the kids. So God forbid that ever happens again, where you just literally like rush out. I mean, I always like shove a shoe or like a candle or something in the door so that it doesn't close
that's
now.
A good idea.
But now Alfie and Ava know where the keys are. If they ever need to get them.
They could put it through the letterbox.
Exactly.
So no, I was having them in one place, but because I changed my handbag over, I wasn't automatic, and that was my error. So anyway, started off the morning, but didn't let me get stressed. I enjoyed my coffee in the sunshine, and here we are, only a few minutes late.
Episode 17.
Episode 17. So today's topic that came to our mind that we thought we would discuss with you is the beautiful topic of periods.
A very tricky conversation because suddenly I feel a bit
awkward. But why should we feel awkward?
We shouldn't, and we're not going to allow ourselves. We're going to be quite open.
Yeah.
Apologies if you are eating.
Or one of them, but
we're just going to
share a few things about our periods recently. But also the reason that we're talking about periods, because I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast last week, and he had this amazing lady on, and she's all about her menstrual cycle and like how to eat for your menstrual cycle and, you know, loads of different topics like that. And she shared that in Spain, and we thought this was really interesting, a new law has been passed that gives you the right to a 3-day menstrual leave of absence with the possibility of extending it to 5 days for those with disabling periods, which that's another conversation in itself. But I think that was very interesting that is happening around the world, that you can take time off for your periods.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, instantly I was a bit kind of like, okay, wow, that's amazing. But yes, again, maybe we should have that conversation another time. But we thought we would kind of go into our own experiences, how we deal with it, how we try and manage it.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, ever since I started my period, I always had a very manageable period until I had my kids. So I don't know whether it was perhaps because I've always was, I mean, I actually don't remember. Do you remember when you started taking the contraceptive pill?
Yeah, I was 16.
I took it really early for my skin. I can't remember the one that I took.
I took it really early because I had a boyfriend.
Whoa. Let's hope your mum isn't listening.
She took me, it's fine.
Yeah, I remember taking one to help my skin because I had horrendous hormonal skin when I was younger. But, so I don't know.
Do you remember what it was called?
No, do you? Oh, I don't remember.
I feel like I had a floral name.
Yes.
I can't remember. We'll look it up.
So I don't know whether that perhaps changed my period flow because it kept it at bay.
Did you used to double up on packets? Because I did all the time.
When I was on holiday.
So bad. Sometimes I used to not have it for like 3 months.
Very, very dangerous.
So bad.
Anyone young listening, do not do that.
Yeah.
But, so then I had Alfie. I actually can't remember if I went on the pill. I mean, this is terrible. You know how
Are you on the pill now?
No, I'm not. But I can't remember if I did in between Alfie and Ava. I don't think I did. But my periods definitely weren't what they are like now. After Ava, I can't even explain. The stories that I've told you. I
shouldn't laugh, but
it's a very, very heavy flow. Let's just put it like that. But I definitely have learned to manage it.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor about it.
And when you talk about your heavy flow, it's unmanageable. Do you have the pain side of it as well, or it's more just like, sorry to be graphic, the leaking, the like getting through the days, that kind of thing, just so people understand.
The pain and like that dragging feeling and that heavy feeling.
You're not in bed with it.
No, I can manage that. I'll just take a Panadol, a Nurofen, or whatever, and I feel like that is manageable. It's more like the heaviness of the period flow, and it's only like for 3 days, so it's really intense for those 3 days. But I actually went to a gynae to try and figure out a way of managing it a bit better, and the things that she offered me just didn't feel right for me. I think I feel so scarred about taking the pill and putting those hormones into my body. I know she was talking about a coil that doesn't have any hormones, but that for me I just didn't want to go down that route yet. I remember the gynae saying to me, surely you want to, help yourself. Yeah. And I do, but at the same time, I do have certain kind of boundaries that I want to just not go down. Anyway, so then I went to see my local GP who recommended a pill that I could take, that you take like 1 to 2 days on the heaviest days of your period, and it helps slow it down, which has made such a huge difference. I'm going to get the name completely wrong. It begins with a T and ends in acid. If anyone has heavy flow periods, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
We'll add it in the show notes.
Don't, make sure you speak to your own doctor to get your own advice. This is just my experience of what has helped me. So I take the pills, I think 3 times a day for the first 2 days, and that's been an absolute game changer. But I have to make you laugh because anyone that doesn't have heavy periods, you'll never know what it's like to need like a super plus tampon or pad. And I was feeling so desperate about, what was it, like a couple of months ago, because the issue that I was having is I don't sleep in tampons. Do you?
No.
Fine. So the issue was I could not find a pad that would hold it throughout the night. Then I was sleeping on a towel, and I mean, like, poor Alex.
Yeah.
You can visualize the scene, right? So then
the murder scene.
So then I think I must have gone onto Amazon and like searched for like
adult nappies,
super plus sanitary towel, and look what came up. Guys, if you can't see this, I'm really, really sorry.
But I will say that when Philippa ordered the, oh my God, she sent me a photo when it came, and it's by the way,
than my arm.
It's literally the length of her arm.
But let me tell you, on day 2 or day 1, I have been known to wear these. I do not need a towel on my mattress, and it has saved the day.
This is the whole thing.
I no longer have to wash my sheets.
I've not seen it in real life. It's an adult nappy.
It
If you
literally
don't
is.
laugh, you'll cry.
No, I mean, we
Does it
probably
stick? Turn
shouldn't
it
have.
over. Does it?
It does, but actually, this
Wait,
is what
where
I
does
love.
it stick? Your knickers that big.
What I love is that the size of it, and look, it only has like a small bit that
but it
you
must
stick
come
on.
around your knickers.
It's basically like wearing a nappy. So you kind of put it in your. Do you have like
But where are the wings?
period knickers? Like not the specific ones.
Well,
but
I wear thongs every day, so I only wear
Not on
knickers
your
on my
period,
period.
then.
No, I only
Okay,
wear
fine.
knickers on my period.
So when you go to bed at night, do you have like specific period bedtime knickers?
They're all black, so I just.
So mine are from when I had the kids, and
But surely they're like up to your nips.
Yeah, they are. But I quite like that because it means that there's no movement while I sleep. So if I put these in my
Literally picturing you like in your like knickers up to your boobs, your nappy,
and
your
Alex,
teeth whitening in.
we're just keeping it really alive right now.
Oh, Alex, poor
Alex.
Alex.
He still loves me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got another funny story that we want to share, but I thought I would let Sarah Ellis explain her period cycle with you all.
So I will say that throughout the years, my periods have not really been a thing. I might get a little bit of cramping. I often, no judgment here, I don't love a tampon. I generally wear towels because I don't really have a heavy flow. So I just get on with my day and like change my pad, and it's not really a big deal. So when Philippa tells me she's like super duper 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 tampons, I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to put it.
What colour tampon do you use?
Yellow.
Yellow.
I mean, sweet yellow. But I will
You've never
say,
even gone near an orange, have you?
well, after my kids, my periods definitely changed. But something's happened in the last few months where I've started, sorry, James, to leak through everything all the time. So the last 3 months, it started off on holiday. This is the story. When I was trying out our new swimwear, the Cosy & Co samples, and I managed to leak through every single sample that we had. So when it came to shooting the samples on a model, we couldn't use them because I managed to ruin the samples, which was really quite stressful for me. So I don't know what's happened in the last few months. Obviously, kind of some changes in my body. And I did actually have to buy super tampons for the first time. I only can use them on like day 1 and day 2. But I'd really love to understand a bit more about how suddenly, after all these years, why my periods have changed. But yeah, I'm really struggling at the moment with really heavy periods. I'm having to use tampons, like super tampons, and sanitary towels, which I had to send Craig out the other night to get. That fear of, I've got nothing here. What do you do? And it was nighttime, because in the day, like worst case, you could put some tissue in and then go to the shops. I had to send him out. I'm like, look for the drips on the packaging. He had no idea. He's like, I don't understand what the drips mean. So I had to like Google a picture of Always, and with like the drips in the corner. But yeah.
There you go, guys.
Tell me your funny story about leaking.
Oh, well, we always like to share just to make you guys feel a little bit better if you have experienced anything like this. Also, another holiday period story. And the issue I have is that, well, historically, when I come on my period, you always know you're about to come on like 2 days before. You get that heavy aching
You want to eat
pain,
everything inside the
your
cupboards.
mood. I mean, also I feel like we need to come back to this. You definitely read something really interesting about
Yes,
husbands.
this was on the same topic.
Okay, right. So we're coming back to that.
Same podcast.
So like 2 days before, I definitely know I'm about to come on. But I guess when you are away, the flight disrupts everything. And on holiday last summer, I came on my period like, pow, I'm on. There was
Why
no
on
warning
holiday?
sign. There was no pre-prep. I didn't know I was about to come on. So we're at breakfast. I'm wearing cream Hunza swimsuit with a knitted white Melissa Oderbash dress. Picture the scene.
R.I.P.
I have to tell you, I managed to save it. Anyway, so I'm at breakfast and I'm sitting there, and you know that sudden, oh my God, like, am I sweaty or have I just come onto my period? And I did a little like kind of tried to lift my bum cheek up, and oh my God, I've come onto my period at breakfast. Everyone is in the restaurant. What do I do? Do I just stay seated and wait for everyone to leave?
How uncream and white are the
At
items
this
you're
point,
wearing?
I didn't know, because all I could see is that I've leaked onto the cushion on the chair. So, actually, have I told you the full story?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, so in my head, I'm like, do I tell Alex? I even had a moment like, I'm not sure I can bring myself to tell Alex. Like, how do I tell him I've just leaked everywhere at breakfast? Luckily, I had my huge Celine beach bag. So I'm like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my beach bag, hide it, like put it on my bum,
Because that's
and
a
I'm
normal
going
thing
to
to
walk
do.
out the restaurant backwards. So I basically stood up, turned the cushion round really quick.
Oh, that's clever.
I said to Alex, I've just got to sort myself out. I've come onto my period. Didn't allow him to kind of ask me any questions because I was so mortified by the whole situation. Put the bag in front of my bum and just literally shuffled out of the restaurant backwards. Then got to our room, luckily. And actually, I have to tell you, Hunza G, if you ever do come onto your period wearing a Hunza swimsuit, they do wash very, very well. And
So
I managed to
live
get
to
it
tell
off.
the tale.
Yeah.
And what about the crochet dress?
Yeah, that's long gone.
Okay.
But anyway,
So they're two funny period stories for you. But on the same podcast, it was saying about how your husband or partner should understand your cycle, because it was explaining that on different days of your cycle, you might be hormonal, you might feel like you really need support, you have your feet rubbed, be massaged. And I was like, I can get down with this. And then feel really horny. Craig would get down with that one, so would Alex. And it was about men understanding so they can really support you throughout the different phases of the cycle. So it's kind of like sharing your cycle pattern with men, which I thought was quite interesting, because I don't think I'm particularly like in the know about my cycle. So I always forget to write it down, which is really, really bad. So I think I'm about to come on at the moment, and I feel like that kind of hangry feeling quite often, and I do feel a bit bloated, but I've been feeling that for a few days. So is that my period? Like, I need to get more in tune with my body, and maybe that would help with things.
I do think sometimes we do use it as an excuse, and the worst is like if Alex says, "Are you on your period?" and you're actually not.
Oh my God, you're like,
the best part
come
of your
here and
cycle,
walk into my fist.
literally. So I do feel like sometimes
Yeah.
it's not good to use it as an excuse, but equally,
it is
if
a hormonal shift.
exactly,
It is.
and I do think that would probably help one's mindset, not only yourself but your
Just
partner
a bit more
as well.
understanding. And
Exactly.
It was funny because she also said in the same podcast, because Stephen asked, well, what about a male hormone? And she said male hormones reset every 15 minutes. So if you ask a man a question and they're a bit frosty, ask them again in 15 minutes and they might have a different answer. And I was like, that's genius. I'm going to try that all the time.
Brilliant. So based on a situation that happened in the Ross household last Sunday, Father's Day, we thought we wanted to discuss the topic of boundaries. So Father's Day, we went out for lunch, a family lunch, the four of us. I'd booked a really lovely local kind of Greek tapasy restaurant, really looking forward to it. And we don't often go out to nice restaurants as a family with the kids. We try and do it maybe every other month.
Special occasions.
A special occasion. And so when we do, I like us to get dressed up, kids included. Alfie is always, I think I've mentioned this on the pod before, he just wants to wear his Arsenal kits or football kits whole time. Like, even went on holiday, last summer holiday, I took so many t-shirts, lovely shorts, amazing outfits that I pre-planned for him. He did not wear one.
Can I just say, why are you bothering?
Well, I'm not this year. This year, I'm not taking any clothes for him apart from football kits.
But I wish they weren't as sweaty, because I feel like they get, after they play football, they're like dripping, and it's not, you need like a lightweight version.
Yeah, I agree actually. But he doesn't seem to be bothered. Anyway, so when the babies were newborn, they were very tonal, OT, neutrals. That's just my vibe. But as he's got older, I don't want to limit his expression, his creativity. So I allow him to wear what he wants to wear, pretty much. Does 9 times out of 10. No, but on the weekend, if he's going to a party, the majority of the time, like, he'll just wear whatever he wants to wear, and I will have no involvement in it. He also is fixated with one particular pair of trainers that he got for his 6th birthday from my girlfriends. They bought them for him, and they're nice, like Nike trainers with a Velcro, but he literally, the minute he comes home from school, he wants to get straight into his Arsenal kit. He wants to put those trainers on. He wants to kick a ball. Every weekend he wears pretty much the same outfit with the same trainers. So you can imagine these trainers, they're just like kind of lived in, kind of everyday trainers, got mud on them, they're scruffy. So Sunday comes, and I had set him out like a nice t-shirt, shorts, and his nice trainers. The wrath of what came with asking him to put on these trainers, there was a large part of me that thought, Philippa, why am I bothering? easy life. Just let him wear whatever he wants to wear. But for this particular, couple of hours, I thought, no, I can't allow him to, I know this is such a minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but we're going to kind of explain the reason behind my thought process here. I can't allow him to always just do exactly what he wants to do and me be too scared to question it or to kind of ask him to do what I would like him to do because I'm scared of the wrath.
Yeah.
So typical 6-year-old, there was tantrums, there was screaming. He didn't want to come to lunch. He wants to wear his trainers. And I just had to stay really calm and kind of really focus my mindset on actually, no, I'm his mother. I don't expect him to understand why I'm asking him to wear what I'm asking him to wear. But it's my job as a parent to teach him, actually, I'm asking you to do this. Do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's such a minor thing asking him to wear the trainers. But on that particular day, that is what I wanted him to do.
Yeah.
And I've got Alex saying to me, oh, Philippa, just let him wear whatever he wants. And actually, you know what? I agree. But it was just more the point. I have to set those boundaries.
Yeah.
He can wear those trainers all day, every weekend. So it kind of led us on to the conversation of what boundaries do we set with our kids, with ourselves?
And how do they make us feel?
Exactly. So do you have any boundaries that you set for yourself or the kids?
I just want to add, I totally get that whole getting dressed thing because Lenny is very particular with what he wears. He doesn't like anything with a collar. So I'm going to struggle when he starts school in September. He doesn't like things with patterns on. He goes through phase. He likes soft things. He doesn't like things that are too oversized if his t-shirt's too long. So I often have this battle and I don't care. As long as you're not wearing something that's dirty, I let him pick what he wants to pick. And listen, it has to vaguely match because sometimes when he likes to dress as a traffic light, I, put my foot down. But it's really, really, really hard because then you're like, well, why am I doing this? But then you don't want them to just always get their own way because then it's like, well, I want chocolate for breakfast. And you're like, well, no. So it's how do they then learn which boundaries are boundaries and when they get their own way? So I just think it's a really difficult they're difficult conversations to navigate, and in that moment, I think the main thing is just if you're saying no, you've got to stick to it because otherwise, if they kick up a big enough fuss, they know they're always going to get their own way. But I do think having boundaries is really, really healthy, and I think as personally I've got older, I've kind of worked on things that are just, a firm no for me, and saying no isn't a bad thing. Saying no actually is like self-care, can be really empowering. You don't have to, I think in the past, I've often felt the need to say yes to everything. I feel bad. I don't want to let that person down. And then, let's say it's going out for dinner and you're ending up going out for dinner like 4 nights in a week, which let's be honest, no one wants to do. And then it comes nearer the time and I'm cancelling. Well, that's worse than saying no in the first place. So one of my boundaries, and I've really tried to kind of work really, really hard on this for quite a few years, is only going out once in the week. Whether it's friends, like a B-day celebration, whatever it might be, I need those evenings to kind of catch up from the day, reset, get our work stuff ready, maybe get some steps in. I really feel if I'm going out more than once a week, it's just not good for me. And then I go to bed late and it all has a knock-on effect. So for me, that is a boundary that would you say I'm quite good at that?
You are good.
Listen, if it's like my mum's birthday and then I've had like a long-standing friends plan in, obviously there are exceptions to the rule and, as long as I want to do that thing. But it's also okay not to want to go to town to go out for drinks in a weeknight. And I think with work stuff as well, we have really, really learned that we can't do it all. And it's having those boundaries and being okay with it. Because the worst thing is to have the boundary and then punish yourself for it. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we can't make a lot of work things. Events we really struggle with balancing both businesses, being with the kids. And I'm proud of us that we don't make ourselves feel bad that we can't do it all. We have those boundaries and we stick by them. And in turn, that makes us feel happier and more confident.
I think also everyone needs to have boundaries and discipline for their own livelihood.
Yeah.
If we lived in a world where we just said yes to everything,
you overextend yourself.
Exactly. So you have to set kind of the disciplines, the boundaries for your own personal mindset and health. I think for me...
And it's different for everyone.
Exactly. And not only for everyone, it also can change
Yep.
week after week. So for me, mainly my major boundary that I set with myself is when it comes to juggling motherhood and work life. Obviously, we're on a journey of growing our career, which leads itself to working a lot. We're really proud of it. But there are certain things that I set boundary wise to protect my own mindset, so I don't look back ever and think, I wish I did that, or I wish I was there. Obviously, last week I couldn't be at Ava's nursery assembly, but that was because it was a reason that I've already explained, and it was almost out of my control, and it all worked out for the best. But there are other boundaries, like making sure as much as I can throughout the week, I think pretty much Monday to Friday, I am always there to give the kids dinner, do Alfie's homework, read to them and put them to bed. Unless, of course, there is a work event that I can't go to, even dinner with friends, I'll always make sure that I put the kids to bed and then I go. Because for me, that's my own boundary, that I have to know that I have, everyone's got a different mindset, and everyone has different things that make them tick and keep them happy. But for me personally, knowing that I'm there to read to them and put them to bed is really important for me. To know that I'm working really hard, but that's something that I feel really passionate about. So, but as the kids grow up, as my work develops, those boundaries are going to change and they're going to shift. But for right now, that's a really kind of clear boundary that I set with myself. So yeah, we just thought it was quite an interesting conversation, because it's something that I think sometimes we don't address ourselves. So I think once you know that that's something that actually is really important to you, it's your personal boundary, it almost takes the pressure off, don't you think?
And as well, I think no one, try being a people pleaser. And I think when you're younger and you're perhaps less sure of yourself, always kind of not putting yourself first. I don't mean being selfish, but I mean just having those boundaries to make you the best version of you. Because if you try and do everything, and you try and do everything with your kids, and do everything at work, and do everything as a friend and a wife and a daughter, you're going to burn out. You have to have things you're okay with letting go of, and also things that you prioritize. And like you said, it's going to be different for different people. Obviously we're working full time, but on a Thursday is my one day with Edie. Like, I really, really, really try to spend time with her. I went back to work after 3 months, which I didn't do with Lenny. I took a bit longer off, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't play on my mind that I want to have like a little bit of time with her. So when it comes to things on a Thursday, like, I really, unless it's something that can't be moved or something really, really important, I really try and be like, no, I'm not doing anything on a Thursday apart from spending time with her, because I just personally don't want to look back and think, oh, I missed that. And that, again, that's personal to me, and that's probably a bigger conversation in itself, but that's a boundary for me.
And everyone's on a different path and journey,
Yeah, and being honest about it is key, because if you try and portray something that you're not, that's not going to work either.
There are going to be some mums out there that aren't working at the moment, and good on them. Like, being a mum is a full-time job in itself. So, they are around to be there, the whole time with them, doing creative stuff. That's how amazing for them. We're just saying, juggling the motherhood and our business. For you, what's really important is that Thursday is your day with Edie. Like, for me, on a Wednesday, I know after work I pick them up, and I might take them to the park, or I might take them for an ice cream, or whatever it is. That's good for me. It might not be enough for someone else, but for me, that's what I need. Just funny enough, actually, I remember, as you were just mentioning about your Thursdays, I remembered when Alfie started school a couple of years ago. So obviously when they start school, as you'll know, when Lenny starts in September, you go from them being at nursery perhaps until 5-6 o'clock. So you literally just pick them up, you take them home, you go to bed, to then them finishing school at 3:15 or whatever it is. And I remember this really overwhelming feeling of, do I need to do more with Alfie after school? But I can't, because I'm working. So either I have my mum or my mother-in-law picking him up, or I'm leaving work early to get him, and then I'm rushing back home to do work while he perhaps draws or sits in front of the TV for an hour. And I remember so clearly feeling such uncomfortable feelings, thinking, oh, all the other mums are doing play dates after school, or
I've already thought about this,
or they're taking them all to the park after school, and Alfie won't be doing that. And it really disturbed me for quite a while until I realized, well, actually, and I guess perhaps I didn't at the time understand it as a boundary that I was setting for myself. But you have to be clear with that. So in my head, maybe a couple of months later, I felt more at ease knowing, okay, well, actually Monday to Friday, I'm working, you know, and I can't juggle all the play dates. I can't juggle the park dates. But on the weekend, I'm going to make sure that I book them in so that he has that time on the weekend. Once I had put that in place, I just felt so much more like easier with the whole situation. So I think it's sometimes you just need to, you know, if something's unsettling you because you're trying to do too much, and as you said, not feel so thinly spread, it's just making those clear boundaries with yourself that will then in turn help you.
And I think it's really interesting, and we'd love to hear from you guys if you have particular boundaries, things that have worked for you that haven't worked for you as working women or mums. Please do get in touch and let us know. Talking about getting in touch with us, we did ask a bit of a Q&A over on Instagram about some burning questions you guys might have for us, whether it was lifestyle, fashion, careers, each other, and we thought we'd answer some of the most popular ones today that we got asked quite a few times. This one came up loads, and it really, really stumped me because I did not know how to respond, so I'm going to ask you, what to wear for an interview? It's a hard one. I've never had an interview.
I was just about to say, did you ever go for interviews? So I actually mentioned this to Sarah the other day, and she didn't know what I meant. When you go for an interview, you have to peacock. I mean,
who taught you this, by the way?
I mean, maybe at school or someone once told me. So you have to wear either a colour or a print or something that will make you stand out from the crowd. For me, it's probably, well, perhaps when I went on interviews when I was like 16, 17, maybe I did really like colour. Can't remember. But you know, if colour's not your thing, go to leopard print or a check print or something that's just gonna, or a handbag.
So they'll remember you.
Or like statement earrings, something that someone is gonna remember you by. Because obviously, if you're going for an interview, you're not the only one. It's gonna be multiple versions.
So how to stand out from the crowd.
How to stand out from the crowd. Funnily enough, when I was thinking about this last night, I went for an interview at Net-a-Porter. So I was probably about 19 years old, and it was an interview to be one of their stylists. So I remember going to their incredible office. It was huge, and if you imagine a huge studio and different booths set up, so they might have like 10 different booths where they are just churning out model after model, filming the model wearing the full look, taking the picture to then upload on the e-com site. And so my idea of a dream job would be the stylist that would style the outfit that you would then see on Net-a-Porter. Anyway, so I remember the outfit I wore for that interview. I had no idea, meanwhile, what I was going to do. I was wearing completely the wrong thing. What do you think I wore? I actually don't remember what I wore in terms of, I remember my peacocking item.
I want to say you were wearing like a fringe jacket or something.
No, I don't think I was. But I remember the shoes. I was wearing bright green court heels. Wow. Imagine like Bottega green.
Beaut.
Meanwhile, the interview process was about 2 hours long, and I had to go into their fashion cupboard, which, let me tell you, was not a fashion cupboard. It was, imagine like a warehouse.
I was literally going to say.
Rail after rail after rail. And they basically, they gave me a sheet of paper, and they probably had like Prada skirt, Miu Miu bag, like a list of maybe 5 different items, and I had to style these items in the warehouse and then take them onto set. And I'm wearing these court heels, and I'm having to run around this whole huge room, try to get up on the rail, and I, you know, that sweaty, so flustered feeling. And I think they only gave me about half an hour to do it all.
Did you manage?
I managed, and I got the job, and I actually turned it down. Yeah. So my dream job ended up being something that probably was not the right career path for me.
There you go.
And then I landed You magazine. So the rest is history.
The rest is history. I do think, though, for an interview, tailoring, choose your peacocking item. But I think you need whatever industry, because if it's like more of like a media or like casual, you can still wear a blazer but team it with jeans and flats. I do feel like having like a power shoulder or something that says like I mean business, I think is really important. But I do think if you know anyone potentially that works at the company, or like even if your recruiter has any insights, if you've gone through a recruitment agent, just to kind of ask as many people, because it is a bit overwhelming if you're going somewhere and to get that tone, you know, like walking into a room and like getting it wrong, it's that feeling.
And that's the thing, because I guess guess now the working environment is so different.
Yeah.
Everyone's so much more casual now.
Even more like kind of dressed up industries, like even like lawyer firm stuff, people don't dress up as much as they used to.
Yeah, so you're right. You need to do your research first, because you don't want to turn up and be the wrong vibe.
Maybe that's peacocking. Maybe if you're really casual or really smart.
Maybe.
Okay, next question. People wanted to know about some designer trends that were we a yay or were we a nay for? First one, the scarf top. So like a headscarf that you can tie at the back and wear at a top. Think like Australian Sir the Label vibes. I'm saying a big fat yes for me. I tried it on in the office yesterday and I was thinking linen wide legs, beaut.
I think if you don't have a bust, it works very well, because in theory it's handkerchief worn as top.
Yes.
So some of us aren't as gifted to be able
But
to tie it at the back.
We did say that you could wear a bra underneath and use the tie around the brassiere.
Yes.
So we're yes?
I'm not sure I'm a yes.
I'm a yes. Okay, next. The Jill Sander tee.
I'm really torn with this. And what's so interesting is last year, if anyone said Jill Sander, they'd be like, who? Like, no one wanted to wear Jill Sander. No offense, Jill Sander, if you're listening.
Yeah.
But now, all of a sudden, you get certain people to wear it, to style it up so beautifully, and all of a sudden, everyone wants this one T-shirt. What I would say is we are all about the kind of classique items. So what I'm torn with...
What would Rosie HW wear? Would she wear it?
I'm not sure she would.
To us, and we listened to her on a podcast. You told me to listen to it on the Mariana podcast, listened to it yesterday. And when she described her style and everything, I was like, I want to be you. I want the words to come out my mouth like you. She was like, I'm classic, but I'm elevated. I'm all about those pieces that I can feel good in, but that have a twist that lasts long in my wardrobe. And I was like, I think we're like this, but we're not wearing Bottega every day.
What I loved, by the way, guys, if you haven't listened to the podcast, you should. So it's on Mariana Hewitt, as in the co-founder of Summer Fridays. She interviewed Rosie as part of her launch for the Rose Inc. Hunza collection.
The most insane collaboration ever. By the way, anyone that's listening, I did buy 3 swimming costumes. I kept the berry one shoulder one.
Like me.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to the interview, because what I loved about it is that she was so normal.
Yeah.
So genuine. So relaxed. Like when Mariana was asking her about a morning routine, like you think that someone like her just basically has everyone to do everything for her.
I mean, I do think there was an element.
Maybe
like, she said
does.
The baby comes in at 6:30.
I'm like, who brings
the baby in?
I have to say, I did laugh at that bit, but also, I don't know. She did feel
she owned what she was.
Yes, I really liked her vibe. So Jill, back to the Jill Sander tee. Am I a yay? I'm kind of halfway there. Not fully sold, because the price point for just a kind of really nice
oversized
white T-shirt, come to what the brand.
Amen. Okay, this is another high price point one that I've seen all over Instagram that people want to know about. The Bottega gold kind of like teardrop earrings.
Another one that I just don't think you should invest in.
I do think you can get that. I think Anthropologie have a great pair. Amazon.
Yeah.
I think listen, if money's no object, you do you. But I think for something like that you're probably not going to wear season after season, you can get the next best pair.
That's the thing.
I will say though, I did have a look at them when I was in Selfridges, and they are super lightweight, and you can see how beautiful they are. But I do think you can get the look. They're a no for us.
I saw Rochelle Humes wearing them the other day, and I was so like, oh gosh, they do look really good. But you're right, you can just go on ASOS and Other Stories, Arquette, and just get a similar version of. And next year, they're not going to be the thing anymore.
I think if you're investing in those pieces, like if we feel like the Jill Sander tee is like, like the Gucci tees when we had them, we did wear them for a good few years. Like we really iconic. I still got.
I can't get rid of mine.
Yeah.
They bring back so many good memories.
I feel like, we had a good few years out of them. Our Hermès slides, for example. Still wearing them 5 years later. But if it's that real trend thing, I just don't think it's worth it.
I think that's the overall message with all of these things. And that's kind of why I do feel a bit nay towards them, because they do feel they're very trend led. And all the design items that we've invested in are just so classic, timeless, ageless. Season after season, we know that we're going to love them. So I don't love investing in things that just feel of the moment.
The Elia bag.
Maybe it is quite a classic thing. I mean, if you love hearts, I've got a friend who is obsessed with hearts. Nikki, I know that you'll be listening. I am talking about you. She loves hearts. Like everything she has like heart plates, heart earrings. Everything's got like a heart print.
Cute.
So I think that bag's probably for her.
But when I saw Faker Strong wearing it in white, I thought with a white I feel like I would never get it in pink or red. anything too bold, but I do think that's verging on classic now. I do. So I'm more of a yay for that one.
I feel quite yay towards that as well, actually.
So the next question is our designer wish list. We have been often talk about this in the office. Philippa is not feeling particularly inspired, so I'm going to answer for both of us.
Well, also
what we do.
Just to add into that, the thing
You've
is,
interrupted me.
I'm really, really sorry, but I just want to interject, but to protect myself of not feeling that fruitful with investing. I feel like when you go through a wave of moving house, like that has consumed me. So at the moment, my wish list is a Soho Home light.
Yeah.
So, can you feel what I'm feeling?
Focus and strokes. This is also blue sky thinking. I'm not saying we're going to buy this tomorrow, but this is actually very useful. A good beach hat. An investment beach hat that we discussed last week. I haven't yet decided what it is, that we will bring out time and time again. Rosie was talking about them on the podcast, and I messaged you saying, what is this hat that we need? Because I feel like we need it.
Sarah messaged me last night and said, Rosie said we need hats.
Yeah.
But we did actually discuss it last week.
Yeah.
And I loved how she said, now that I'm over my nearing 40s, it's all about the hat.
So I think that's really the only thing. Next question. This is quite a nice one. How did we meet?
Are you going to tell the story?
You can tell the story. I feel I've been talking for ages.
How did we meet? Okay, so take you back to about 15 years ago. I was working at You Magazine, the fashion assistant there. So I worked under Caroline Baker, who I have mentioned before, and Sarah was working under Mark Hayes at ITV on The Lorraine Show. So we would often be at press days, which I think we also have mentioned before, but if you haven't listened, that's an event where a brand would showcase the new season. So the two of us would be behind our bosses, kind of attending the press day on behalf of them, with them. And there were a lot of PRs at the time that would say, oh, do you know Sarah at ITV? Do you know Philippa at You Magazine? You guys look so similar. You always dress so similar. We didn't know each other, really.
Yeah, we knew of each other.
We knew of each other because we grew up in the same kind of neighbourhoods. We had, some mutual friends. Anyway, at this one M&S press day.
Best day of our lives.
Our eyes crossed
the
room. And we were like, hi, I'm Philippa.
I'm Sarah.
And in true Sarah style, she orchestrated the meetup
I said, let's go out for dinner.
A couple of hours. I received a message from her.
On Facebook.
Was it on Facebook?
Yeah.
So it's so funny. I have to tell you this because at that time, I didn't have a diary. I was young. Just that my life was just me and Alex. So didn't have any other arrangements to fit in or schedule into a diary. And I remember receiving this text message from you saying, hi, let's go out for dinner. I can do this date, this date, this date, this date, and this time, this time, this time. And I'm like, wow, this girl is so on it. She's so organized. I loved that energy. But it was the first time that now I can appreciate you.
The vibe.
That's just you. Amazing,
that is me.
Organized,
beautiful,
diary person.
Stunning.
So we met then and we went to Pizza Express and we kind of shared everything and realized that we were literally soul sisters. I remember coming home after that dinner, I still lived at home at that point, and saying to my mum, I've just met my soul sister. Everything that we said was just so entwined.
And we were wearing the same
connected.
thing when we met.
We then realised that our grandparents were really good friends. I mean, how we didn't know that before.
I know. Our first jobs were in June. We both had our first job in June. Both our dads were called Stephen.
Our parents divorced.
Yeah.
We had so many parallel moments in our lives that it just was this is more than just a friendship. We felt like we were so connected.
Yeah.
And that life just
brought us together. And the rest, they say, is
history.
So that's how we met. And we just kind of, it grew from there, just kind of growing our friendship, and then obviously starting the blog, We Are Twinset, and then fast forward all these years. And now
I feel like we're probably summarizing it way, way, way too quick. And perhaps maybe in a couple more episodes, we'll do a bigger kind of
friendship chat
because I feel like it'd be interesting for you guys to know where we were in our lives when we set up the blog and everything. But that's kind of a quick roundup.
Final question, because I feel like it's been a really chatty episode. What did we want to be when we were younger? very, very quickly, go.
I always wanted to be a visual merchandiser. I think my love for interiors and styling, that was kind of the role I saw that I would do together. What about you?
When I was really young, I wanted to be a netball player.
How young are we talking?
Like 7.
Okay.
I thought that was like actually a career. But no, always.
Well, it is.
Well, it is. But like actually growing up, I always just said I want to do something in fashion. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it looked like, which is why when I finished uni, and in between my uni holidays, I did loads of different work experience across all areas and then kind of fell into styling. But that's also for another day.
Rounding up episode 17. I've loved it.
I've loved it. It's been like really insightful. Yeah. And another episode we don't cry.
Here we go.
Woohoo. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the follow button, and we will see you next week for episode 18.
Bye.